Why, hello! How the devil are we? Good. Good. Now, contrary to popular belief, I am still alive. Only just. Only just. But we'll get into that in a bit. My first order of the day is to call into Bransons and investigate the recall. So there's been a recall on the Transalp. Any Transalp that's been fitted, that's nice, with a main stand. Although I think dealership records are a bit patchy, so some people have been getting letters who didn't have a main stand, and some people haven't been getting letters who do have a main stand. I haven't had a letter yet, but I've got a main stand, and it was fitted by the dealer. So now the problem being is that according to the Honda gurus, there was an incorrect setting. Excuse me, there's a bit of a... Hang on. Oh, that's better. There's a bit of a crosswind taking my breath away. So according to the Honda bigwigs, there was an incorrect setting on one of the welding machines. And so the supporting pin that holds the main spring may not be very good. And can fail. Which means if your bike's on the main stand and it fails, well, look out, because it will probably fall over. Or if you're riding along and it fails, then you've got a main stand dragging on the floor, which is a recipe for pain. So I've zip tied mine up. Just in case. And I thought I'd pop in and see what's what. Hey?
This gentleman's considering a Transalp.
Oh, right.
I'd check out, I would do a bit of touring, I'd check out the MC, because everybody says it's brilliant for touring.
Yeah.
I'd check out this, because I never thought, because I only got 29 inside leg, and I thought, it's far too big. You look at the thing, and it looks as if you need to get steps to
Oh, no.
But I got on it, and I could touch the floor, and that actually isn't with, even with...
Right, well, I'll tell you what, that was a nice hour or whatever that was, I don't know. It was quite busy there. Got there and a few people were interested in the Transalp, so got talking to them and they were asking me how I found mine. So a few of us having a good old natter, and I have to say, right, and I'll reiterate, I'm not sponsored by Bransons, but you know, I'm not sponsored by them. In fact, I spend money there, right? But how good are they? I only called in just to discuss the recall, you know, and maybe book an appointment for them to come, you know, to drop it in and for them to have a look. And they did it there and then. I know it doesn't take a lot of time, it's only got to check the lot number on it, but you know, speak as you find, and when you get good service, it's always a good thing. When you get good service, let somebody know. Because I work in the merchant retail world, and people are bloody quick enough to pick up the phone and complain, or email and complain about something insignificant. But every once in a while, most people don't say anything because they get what they expect, right? So if you're getting what you're expecting, why should you comment on it? But every now and then someone says, you know, that's brilliant service, thank you very much, pleasure to deal with. So, excellent stuff, Bransons. Andre, Jerry, even Pete. But no, it was busy down there. It's good to see. You know, obviously the sun's out. But if people are out spending money and contemplating spending money, that can only be good for everybody else, can't it? Well, being forever hopeful that I am, well, that's a bloody lie, isn't it? That's a bloody lie. However, we'll perpetuate that myth. Being forever hopeful that I am, I'm hoping that the sound of Gremlins, which I can't see now, of course that made no sense to anybody then. I was just looking for the front of the camera, the screen on the front, for that telltale sound decibel bar. If it was clipping out maximum, then yeah, I'm having Gremlins, but of course the screen switches itself off after a while. Now, after all that nonsense waffle, right, sound Gremlins, I'm hoping I've dispensed with them. As is so often, all too often, the case in the world of electronics, if you switch something off and on again, sometimes that just clears the problem. And that's what I did. After about 15 minutes of pricking about with it, trying an extended USB-C cable, thinking maybe, you know, or maybe the USB-C connector on the camera was a bit loose. Switching off, switching it on, fingers crossed, solved the problem. Because when it goes back into its little box is also a charging block for it. So it sits in a sort of standby mode, and as soon as you open the lid, it all comes back to life. So I'm guessing it just had a funny five, which we all do from time to time, don't we? So, talking of a funny five, where have I been? Why have I been AWOL yet again? Well, I mean, I had the old black dog, didn't I? Schwarzhunde. Which is still sort of like lingering at the bottom of the garden somewhere, but we're getting there. But I then got hit by some sort of fluey, coldy, infection-y thing that's going around everywhere. It wasn't COVID. Was tested for it. Wasn't COVID. And I can honestly say, hand on heart, I don't think I've ever felt so ill in all my life. And because a couple of us had come down at work with it, it makes it much harder to be off ill. You can't have the whole office off ill at the same time, you know. So one of my colleagues was off for 3 days, and for those 3 days I came in. I don't know how I managed to drag myself in, but by Thursday we decided to swap. They came in and I went home, by which point it had turned into a sinus infection, a real nasty one. And I swear to God, the headache, the unrelenting headache for days, squirming in agony. Oh, Blake, if I was an American citizen with the right to bear arms, I probably may not be sat on this bike right now. It was that unbearable. But I've finally shaken the worst of it off. Still not 100%, and that'll probably linger for a few weeks yet. And it was doubly disappointing because, you know, I couldn't get out on the bike. And on the Friday was the completion day for the flat I bought next door, and to be honest, I couldn't have cared any less. I really couldn't. They had to post the keys through the letterbox because I couldn't get out of bed. Impossibility. So that took the shine off of the whole house moving thing. But although I'm not moving in fully in any great pace, the important thing is the bike is now in the garage. Safely tucked away in the garage, in the dry. I've got space to put all the bike bits and bobs in there. So that's the important thing. And now both I and Mumsy, bless her, have the peace of mind that, you know, God forbid if she dropped dead tonight, despite being an orphan, I will have a roof over my head. I wouldn't have the added stress of having to then try and find somewhere to live and all of that crap. That's done now. Now, a little bit earlier I was talking about great customer service from Bransons Motorcycles of AWOL. Again, I stress, not a paid promotion. Just speaking as I find. Right, so broadband issues. When I made the offer on the flat, and then I thought, ooh, broadband. Having been living next door, coming off the same pole, didn't give it any thought. Yeah, it'd be alright, be able to get the full gigabit fibre, no worries. Well, when I came to put the address into BT's availability checker, I was a bit stressed to find that no, only 73 megabyte standard broadband is available to you, mush. I thought, bollocks, that can't be. We come off the same pole across the road. So I did some digging online. And I found, I did a search and got the unique property reference number. So every property in the UK has a unique property reference number. So I used that, and I then went through the BT wholesale FTTP status page, and you put that number in. It will then tell you which cabinet that address is connected to, whether it's enabled for different speeds and that sort of thing. And yeah, 1 gigabyte enabled, FTTP. Brilliant. No need to worry then. So when I've moved, I can just give them this unique property reference number and tickety-boo. So I wasn't feeling too good, so I thought, right, I'll do live chat, because you can put details and links and all that sort of thing in, explain the situation, and the service agent, whether he was real or whether he's a robot, who knows, but came back and said, no, 73 meg is your limit. And I said, yeah, but hang on a minute. I know one of the flats next door has already got a BT OpenReach full fibre grey box on the wall. He said, oh yeah, well that probably feeds the whole block of flats then. He said, if not, it might be that the cabinet's full. But check back, because they update it every 3 months. And I sat there and I thought, what are the bollocks? So I toyed with just settling for it and just buying, the bog standard slow ass broadband. And I thought, I thought it can't be right. So I went through their availability checker on their website, and I put in all the different flat numbers for that block. Now, the important thing to bear in mind is that when these were originally built, there was a single downstairs apartment, and then on top of that there were 2 maisonettes, which were an upstairs and a downstairs. And over the years they got converted into 6 self-contained flats. So there are more addresses on the BT website for that block than there are physical properties. So I went through them all, and there were only 2 addresses that could not get the full 900 meg fibre, and that was mine and one of the old, just the original block number, if you like. So I thought, right, I went out and I checked which flats had full fibre boxes on them and worked out which numbers they were, because it's not self-evident, believe me. When you look at the layout at the back, it's not self-evident which number's which. But so I worked all that out, picked up the phone, spoke to a real person, explained the situation. So he had a look and he's like, oh yeah, no, it says only 73. I said, right, now put in flat E, put in flat B, put in flat D, put in, you know, and you'll see that they all get 900. He was, oh yeah, so they do. He said, okay, let me try something. No, and he said, is it the second floor flat? Yeah. He said, okay, I've got one last place I can check. And he went, got it. So we did the deal there and then. Again, good service this time, but the moral of the story is when you're dealing with big companies, don't always take their first answer for granted. Because I had this with the Halifax. You know, speaking to one of the service agents, it was basically, well, there's nothing we can do. Fortunately, the call at some point got disconnected, much to my annoyance, having been 30 minutes in the queue. But I phoned back and got somebody else on the same number in the same department whose whole approach was completely different and changed eventually the outcome to that. So always get a second opinion if you've got reason to doubt something. But again, I thanked him very much and I said he was a credit to his organisation. Because the other agent who I'd been speaking to on, you know, web chat, obviously couldn't be bothered and was doing just what I was doing, which was putting the number, the postcode and selecting the address from their website. Rather than doing what his actual job is, which is to listen what I'm telling him and actually looking into it, because there is a logical fallacy to what he's saying. So anyway, that was a good result. So at the moment, everything's going my way. So now all that's out the way, I am hoping to be able to resume some level of normal service. There's a couple of things topics I want to touch on. I'm working on doing a video about people who cheat on YouTube and use subscription bots, and I will show you examples. I won't name names. I will show examples though, and they will leave you, the viewer, in no doubt whatsoever that these people have or are buying their subscribers. It's a folly. I mean, one channel's gone from zero. One channel was created in December, right? So less than 5 months ago, and he's already at 10,000 subs. Okay. Now, in the motovlogging niche, which is a niche of a niche on YouTube, to gain 10,000 subs in 4 months, but you'll actually see when the subs started rolling in. So it wasn't really 4 months, it was a matter of weeks. And then you look at the number of views, and then you look at the number of comments this individual has on their videos. I'm telling you, it is an impossibility to have 10,000 subscribers and a video with 9,000 views with like 3 comments. One from a spouse of said channel owner, me as the other one, highlighting the suspiciousness of the channel, and the other comment probably them. So yeah, so that's one thing I'm working on. A couple of other irons going in the fire. Then we got the Saddlebag Social coming up at the end of the month. Not the end of the month, end of next month. Looking forward to that. So I'm going to sign off in a minute, and again I'm just going to apologise to those channels that are closest to me. You know, Ian Hughes, Tame, Silver Fox, Solo Moto UK, Blake, Ainsworth Rider. I haven't been dropping by lately too often because I just haven't been watching anything motorcycle related. Especially while I've been really ill. I don't know why. It's just I couldn't. I was just putting on just drivel that I could just have noise in the background while I lie there with my eyes shut. So I was listening to a lot of my own stuff. And on that note, I shall say toodaloo, auf Wiedersehen, so long, farewell. And I'm telling you, if the sound hasn't come out on this, I'm flushing the lot down the bog.